So I want to welcome all of you to this beautiful JOA Author Summit. This is something we do for every one of our authors, is we create this live virtual summit so that people who are in all different states and across the country can come together and meet our JOA author, but also to talk about the book. This is like an author signing, but from our very own bedrooms, offices, wherever we're at, where we get to join in and celebrate our beautiful JOA author. And tonight, Matika Warner is the author that we are celebrating, highlighting. If you don't know me, I'm Kira Brinton. I am the founder of JOA Publishing. We are a publishing house that is named after Joan of Arc. So JOA stands for Joan of Arc, because every book we publish is that energy. We are here to change the world. We are here to stand up for what we know is true and right and brilliant and beautiful and what's going to transform humanity as she did. So with further ado, Matika Warner, I love you. I'm so excited to celebrate you. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so grateful to be here. And I just want to highlight you, Kira, because Kira does things differently. I knew that I was supposed to write a book and I had no idea how to do it. I had no idea the process. God placed Kira in my life. I mean, I saw a flyer for her workshop a week later after I had said I'm writing a book. And then I met her and just so like, I don't know, just the first time I heard Kira speak, it was like chills all over my whole body. I knew she was going to change my life. And Kira talks about this a lot, but she says she didn't do it, right? She got to be the vessel for me to follow what I knew I needed to do and become who I needed to become. So I'm just so grateful that you held the space. And I'm especially grateful that you do things differently, because one of the things Kira taught me is in order to write a book, you call in your spiritual team. It's not written from the head, it's written from the heart. We relied so heavily on the help of my angels, and it was just such a beautiful life altering journey. I'm not the same person I was a little over a year ago. So I'm so grateful, Kira. Thank you.
Well, it really, I mean, it was such a joy to work with you. I am always sad when my authors like finish their book and graduate, because then they're not in my mastermind anymore. And I really miss you. I miss having you
Miss
in
you
there.
too.
But I will tell you this, is that I watched you, Matika, come in with like, it was like this dream was in front of you, and you had these like doe eyes, and you were like, this is going to happen. And in a year, I watched you become embodied in your power. Like, who sits here now is like an embodied version of that dream. And it's like it lives and breathes, and you are completely more, I would say, deeper in your gifts. Your gifts have always been there, but it's like you claimed them now. Would you feel
Yeah,
that's how it feels?
absolutely. And I just think there's something to following those callings of your heart when you know that you need to do something that might be terrifying. Um, it has the power to change your life. And I've seen this a few times. I saw it the very first time with my yoga training. I knew I was supposed to do my yoga training. And I went on this new journey, and it opened my mind and heart up so much. But the bigger one was when I wrote a book with you. And like, for those of you who don't know, I knew that I was supposed to work with Kira, but it was super scary. I was on welfare. I couldn't pay my rent, and I knew I was supposed to hire her as my coach and my publisher. And that decision at that time was going to cost me $24,000. I don't like to put Kira in a box because I know she has lots of different pricings and offerings, but that was what it was for me in that moment. And it was so scary. But the thing is, um, I knew that it was the right decision because I had peace. And I knew that I was making the decision not because I was going to turn around and make a bunch of money from it, but because I knew it was going to get me to who I wanted to become. And that was where it came, because I've done programs in the past where I paid a bunch of money, but it was because I wanted it to be like a get rich quick program, right? I wanted it to fix everything. But for this specific thing. I was like, I know I need to work with you. I know it's going to change my life. I know it's going to help me become who I need to become. And it truly has. I'm not the same person. And the greatest gift you've given me is just teaching me to fearlessly call in my angels in every aspect of my life. Like, even when I don't know what to make for dinner, I'm just like, I need inspiration here. Please help me. So it's become like a regular way of living, you know?
Oh, I love it. And I love your story of, because here's what's cool is that, and we're going to go into this because your book is on manifesting. So if anyone is watching this on YouTube, Matika's book is called Manifestation Rewritten, which is so powerful because we all know about manifesting, but you came in and you flipped it on its head. You're teaching it a different way. And what I love is that you were writing a book about manifesting, but in the midst of it, you manifested the money to pay back that 24,000 before you were even finished with the mastermind. Like, extraordinary. You live and breathe this. This isn't like Matika had a good idea and decided to write a book about it. Like, Matika lives and breathes this method, this principle. Tell us what has happened in your life. What have you manifested since you said yes to writing the book?
Oh, wow. Well, let me just back up a little bit and share the method I teach for manifestation is raise your vibrations and then discover your desires. And so it's totally different. The world will say, like, attach yourselves to your desires, figure out what you want, and then do everything you can to attract it. So then you're doing the vision boards, you're doing the affirmations, you're doing it desire first, and then, attracting piece comes second. And what I found is when we do the attracting piece first, when we raise our personal energy and really align ourselves with God and with our highest selves, we just become this magnet, and then we discover desires we didn't even know we had. So I think the biggest one for me is when I started to really live this principle of like raising my vibrations first, all of a sudden I wanted to write a book. That was a desire I never had, like never even knew that I was going to do, but once I discovered it, it was a true desire. I wanted it so badly. And the next piece of this is just rising up to be a coach and paying it forward and doing kind of what you did for me, Kira, helping others. And so that's another manifestation that's come into my world of just moving forward in full surrender and full trust and letting God take care of it. I actually don't have to freak out about it. I actually don't have to worry about who's going to come into my life. Like, just me being the vessel and owning my power, the people are already coming. So it's just a whole new way of living life, and it's so much better. So much better.
It really takes out the grabby energy. It takes out the fears. Oh no, you guys, I'm in a rented office right now and the lights are starting to go out. So this could be interesting. These lights we might have to do this by flashlight tonight, guys. Welcome to the traveling world of a publisher, renting offices all over the world. So I just know if the lights go out, that's what's happening. I want what you to do right now is if you can show us your book. If you can show us your book, the cover of your book does something. Can you guys
I just want to honor McKenna. She is my book artist. She's on the call right now. She just joined. McKenna Woolley is, I love her so much. She truly, I just told her, I trust you. I mean, at some point, right, McKenna, I went back and forth with you for a little while, but if I eventually got to the point where I just said, McKenna, I trust you. And she had read my star chart and she pulled in earth and fire. And this cover is so 100% me. It is so me in every way. And it's so beautiful. And my friend did that amazing photo. I love it.
So beautiful. So I want everyone who's watching this on YouTube, because many will, go grab her copy right here below in the show notes. There will be a link to get her book. This book is here to help people live your greatest life. And I want to, before we open it up to all the people here on the summit, I want you to teach us a little bit of something that's in the book. So go into your heart and feel into, is there a story in the book that you want to share? Is there a principle that feels really important for you to teach right now? What feels the loudest?
Okay, the loudest thing I'm feeling right now is I quote Ed Milet, chase the butterflies. And I talk about how anxiety and excitement show up in exactly the same ways within the body. Physiologically, it's exactly the same. The difference is the peace you feel, right? So if you're trying to manifest something and you're doing it in an energy of fear and desperation, there's going to be that sense of you'll feel unsettled within your gut. It won't feel right. But if you are in alignment and you have excitement energy, you're still going to have the butterflies in your stomach. You're still going to be super nervous, but there will be this overwhelming peace that will confirm to you that you're on the right path. And those are the moments worth chasing.
Mm,
The lights just went out for me too, Kira. So
I like
it's all
it. Well, it's like
good.
turning into like a moody summit here. I like it. I don't think you've ever told me that piece, and I love this principle because you're teaching a principle right now to every one of you who are here live or watching the recording of check in and notice, is it excitement or is it being nervous? I think that is a really profound thing. So how do you help people differentiate?
Um, well, actually, just yesterday I had a friend ask me, how did you know that, paying Kira and doing this was the right decision? And I was able to bring up an example of another program I had done in the past. And with you, Kira, it just, it was literally the choice I knew I needed to make to become. That is literally the difference. If it's something that's going to help you rise to who you want to be, and it's not a solve all, fix all type of thing, that's the difference.
Ooh, do you guys get that? That's a very powerful distinction. So the nervousness, it's nerves if it's excitement, if this is going to help you become something.
Yeah.
Feel that. Wow. That's beautiful. And then the other energy is like, well, this is because I should do it or because it's going to, solve a problem. It feels like it's more of the energies of shoulds and not so much of like activation.
Yeah, when we're in that energy of fear, that's when we start like chasing clients. And we I owned a dance studio for 5.5 years, and I was in a lot of fear energy during that time. I was always terrified I was going to run out of students. I was terrified that I was going to run out of money. And so I was this clingy energy of chasing people down and Instagram ads, flyers, like all of the things. But since then, I have learned to do business and create in an entirely new energy where I am aligned with my highest self. I am aligned with God. And then I just get to flow. And it becomes this dance of creation where you're not clinging and holding on desperately. You just get to trust and surrender and let the magic flow through you.
Mm, I love this. I'd love to hear from all these beautiful people here on the summit. What does this stir for you? Does this wake up ideas for you? Does this like give you inspiration? Just unmute if you want to talk. Now, I know that's kind of scary, but we're safe here. This is like a slumber party, okay? We got lights coming out. It's fine. Anyone have anything they want to share? I can't see everyone because there's quite a few of you, so just unmute if you want to share.
I'll share.
Yes,
Hi, I'm Michaela.
Michaela.
Hi, Taylor.
So I just adore you, Matika, and you too, Kira. You're great. I've heard many great things about you. But
Wait, let me just say really quick, this is Glenn's sister-in-law, Kira.
oh yeah. Hi, I'm Amber's sister.
Oh, I love Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn's amazing. He is doing some serious work. Bless his heart right now. He's amazing. But yeah, I love like what you were talking about, how like that fear and desperation for something to happen, because I'm an ASL interpreter, and 6 months ago, I went to take my level 2 certification test to continue to work in the state of Utah. And I was so desperate, and it was all out of fear. Like, I have to do this or else I'm not going to be working anymore. I'm not going to be bringing in a supplemental income. I'm not going to have my escape for my children. Like, I'm not going to be working, and interpreting is kind of like, honestly, like part of my identity, it's who I was before I had kids. Anyways, and I failed the test. I had to wait 2 months to get those results, and I didn't pass. Thankfully, they give you feedback so you know how to improve. So I'm like, okay, great, I'm gonna go take it again. But it was still, I showed up still desperate and anxious, so much anxiety. I had no peace. It was just forced. And again, had to wait another 2 months, and I failed again. And it was like the most humbling experience, realizing and looking at my feedback, and like out of 200 components, I missed 2 each time. So like, I'm right there, right? And one of the components is processing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, God is trying to tell me something. Because both times I missed processing. Like, he's trying to tell me, like, I have a lot of things I need to process as a mom, as a person, a human being right now, most importantly. And as a mom, as a wife, like, I need to reevaluate my hats, because I've been trying to force too much and control too much. And it was, guys, the largest piece of humble pie I ever ate. But within the last 2 months of waiting for my second time of results, and I literally got sick, mind you. My second time I took it, I got sick right after the test. That's how much mental, emotional, spiritual, physical anxiety and fear had over me. I got sick after taking the test. And it was like the most humbling thing, because within those 2 months of waiting for those results to tell me that I still need to work on my processing and everything, I was open to accept it. And I felt so much peace when I opened it, because the last 2 months I was working on that processing as a human, not as an interpreter, not at all. It had nothing to do with me as an interpreter, but as a human being. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so profound. I finally found in those last 2 months of like a love for being a mom, and owned up to the fact that I used work to escape my children, legit, because that's a hard ass job, guys. Anyways, I used work to escape it, and it was like God telling me, like, look, you can have all these things, but you need to get your priorities straight, and you need to process some things more effectively and more. Anyways, and so I was like, oh my gosh, just like this aha moment. And I felt so much peace when I got those results saying I did not pass again. I had so much peace, and I'm like, how weird. And then I was like, because I am more in tune to myself, my higher self. I'm like, and I just love what Matika's sharing, because I'm like, yes, rise your vibration. I'm like, yes, like, everything she's sharing is everything I needed to better understand my desires. And she's like literally an angel in my life. I cannot even go on. But I remember feeling like, okay, what should I do? And I was like, take the test again. I took the test again. I had so much peace going into it. So much peace. The whole time, so much peace. After, so much peace.
Yeah.
It was like I finally was able to let go and let God, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I was like telling her, yeah, I passed. And whether that means I passed the test, or I passed, finally conquering like my fears and accepting God and his plan for me, like whatever, like I passed.
Yeah, that's
That sounds
amazing. I
great.
love this story.
Thank
Oh my gosh,
you.
thank you for sharing that.
So
And what I love about you sharing this, and Matika, I want to turn it back and first of all, just really honor you for sharing this story, because this is such a prime example, because you are not alone. I'm not going to ask everyone to raise their hands, but I'm sure many of you have felt the way that Michaela felt, that fear, that overwhelm. I'm sure I have gotten sick from fear. I've gotten sick from being super full of anxiety, right? So you sharing that, you open this beautiful door, Michaela, and your vulnerability. And I want to bring it to Matika. How do people raise their vibrations when we get into that dark hole of fear? Because no matter how faithful you are, no matter how good you are at manifesting and higher vibrations, fear will find you. It will. So, Matika, how do people raise their vibrations when they're in that dark place of fear?
Yeah, thank you, Michaela. What I kept thinking as you were sharing is just the fact that Satan operates in force. Whenever things feel super forced in our lives, like when we're forcing creation, we are going to resist that creation. God operates in power. And so the place to be in order to create and manifest is to come back to our place of power, which is the place where you boldly can cast out that darkness in the name of Jesus Christ. The place where you can come back to your truth and who you truly are and call in the miracles. And so it's all about coming back to coming back home to yourself. And it can happen in the simplest ways. For me, I get back to my place of power when I quiet my body and I breathe and I practice meditation or yoga or just grounding with the earth. And this is where I find my power again. And then I can go forward and make the choices I need to make in an empowered state where I'm not fearful anymore. And I just think there is a lot of power in also casting out that darkness, because we're not fighting wars of flesh and blood. It is that darkness creeping in, and we have power over it. So
I love that. And I think that for anyone listening where maybe that's like new language for you, or you don't, maybe you weren't raised in that kind of thought process. One thing that Matika said, that everybody, no matter where you are on the religious, spiritual spectrum, changing the vibrations of your body, she said she does breath work. She said she gets back into her body. She gets on the earth. Every single person, no matter where your beliefs are, you breathe. Everybody breathes. And everybody can get into the earth. And so what I love that Matika teaches, which is something that I practice deeply, which is change your vibrations, you'll get the results you want. And her book is the manual on this, you guys. So if you haven't read her book, you need to read it, because it is the manual on how to change your vibrations to match the result you want in life. And when we have the vibration of fear, and I'll let you talk about this, Matika, what is the match to fear? Let's talk about we're always manifesting. So if our vibrations are fear, talk to us about what that does.
Oh, absolutely. I can speak to this because there were so many years when I was so desperate to get out of financial scarcity. By the way, McKenna, I'm going to speak to your question too. So in the chat, McKenna said, what do you do when you're good at creation, but the financial flow does not follow? I feel you, girl. So when I was in financial fear and scarcity, I attracted that exact same thing because I was a magnet. It's the law of attraction, like attracts like. When I was in fear and scarcity, I would kept attracting more of that. I'm going to tell you probably something you don't want to hear, but I believe this is for me in my journey. I truly believe that the biggest piece for me to get out of financial fear finally was paying money I didn't have to Kira. Like literally paying $24,000 of money I didn't have was the piece that finally broke me out of fear. And just the only thing I could do was surrender and trust. That's the only option I had. So I truly believe that that is one of the ways to tap into the flow. If you, and this is where you need to lean in and follow your heart, because I was guided to Kira. I didn't seek her out. God placed her in my life. And so this is where you just open yourself up and say, I am ready. I am ready to get out of financial fear and scarcity. Show me the way. I will act. I will surrender. I will act. I will say the words I need to say. I will be the vessel. And just that willingness to get uncomfortable and do the things that you're prompted to do, you'll get out of it.
I love that. And I love here, I don't know how to say her name. How do you say her name? Shayla?
Shayla.
She says, I love how in your book you talk about how everyone may have a different way to raise their vibrations and to find what brings you alive. Talk about that. That is such a great piece of this book.
I'm so grateful you brought that up, Shayla. Do you want to say anything else about that? So I asked the question, well, okay, when you're asking the question, how do I raise my vibrations? The next question I ask is, what makes you feel most alive? Is it playing music that lights you up? Is it dancing? Is it, visualizing yourself on a beach, So that is how you raise your vibrations the very quickest, is you think of the ways where you feel most alive, and it's going to be unique to every single person.
That is a great question. I almost feel like, Matika, you know how you made all those beautiful signs at your in-person book launch? Like the big, beautiful.
Yeah.
I wonder if
we
could get Michaela, she's your artist, right? Michaela or McKenna?
McKenna.
Which I like bow to her work. I want her to do professional work for me. But I wonder if we could get McKenna to make a graphic that we have on it that says, what makes me feel alive? And if we could let people just download that, print it off, put it in their house, and have that question all day long. What makes me feel alive? That piece, if we could have that question on the walls, in the kitchen while we're cooking dinner, what makes me feel alive? Well, you know what makes me feel alive? J Balvin. Yes, that is my reggaeton. That's my favorite music. I turn on reggaeton and then I can cook spaghetti and I'm like, yes, this is the best night ever. But without J Balvin, I like spaghetti splattering all over the ceiling. You guys have that happen, where you're like, how did it make it to the ceiling again? So having a phrase in the kitchen, what makes me feel alive, could shift the vibrations immediately. Let's get on that. Yes, let's get on. We need everyone to be able to have that sign, because then it would also be a remembrance of them to get back in the book. Because my belief is this is not a one-time read. Yeah, I see a lot of heads nodding. This isn't like, I read it once, that was good. This is like one of those books where you come back 3 months later, you read it again, and it's new content. I feel like Shayla's got something to say about this. Tell me. Unmute. Let's see if we can get you to unmute. Bottom left.
Got it. I always struggle with that.
Hey, you're fine.
My book is marked up, highlights, underlines, stars, questions to myself in the margins. Like, it's beautiful.
Yeah. How does that feel, Matika?
I just met Shayla like 2 weeks ago. This is so amazing. So beautiful, Shayla. Thank you. There's something about putting yourself out there, releasing a book into the world. You literally feel so exposed, so vulnerable. You feel like you're standing naked in front of the world. And then just like that terror hits of, oh, I should have written this differently. Oh, I hope I'm not triggering someone with this, or I don't know, just all of the imposter syndrome and all of the negativity just floods in. But what keeps me going is things like that, Shayla. Thank you for sharing. But just hearing the way that it's truly impacting people. And I know that when people open their hearts and are ready to receive it, they will receive exactly what they need.
They will.
So
they will. I love this. I love this right here, Shayla. I hope you understand the gift that you just were for Matika, because to write a book is the most vulnerable experience ever and the most enlivening. And to know that it's making an impact, that's all an author needs to move through their own doubt, right? Because she spoke to it. The imposter syndrome comes in and wants to drown us as authors. And it is in these moments, which is why we do these summits 8 weeks after a book goes live. I don't do it on week 1. Because guess what? Week 1, the author's like, yeah, I wrote a book. This is the best day ever. 8 weeks later, they're like, why did I write a book? Then we do a summit and they remember, because the book has gone into every one of your lives in some way, shape, or form. So I would love to open it up. First of all, I just have to read this because this just brings me so much joy. Christina says, picking my beautiful, juicy, dark raspberries on a cool fall night, breezy day. That's what makes me feel alive. Yes, I like you. That's also, what if, let's get you right in your book. You got some great writing here. But Angela says she has a comment. So Angela, please unmute. I'd love to hear from you.
Hi. One of the things that I love and appreciate about Matika is before I met her, I don't know, probably like maybe 9 months ago, I had adopted a practice where I filter like pretty much everything in my life through the map of consciousness, which is basically Dr. Stephen R. Hawkins putting into a graph and a chart what frequency emotions are. And I tried to post it in the group chat, but it won't let me add a picture. And so I had figured out through much trial and error and a lot of pain that the key for me was to keep my frequency high, and that all the manifesting I'd ever attempted to do and putting energy into that instead of putting energy into raising my frequency, that was kind of backwards. And so one thing I love about Matika is I love people who show up in life and who have learned the same lessons we have in a completely different way, who can share their insight, their wisdom in their words, and really add layers to people who are like, yeah, I am 100% with you. And it's not like, I know that, so thanks. It's, yeah, teach me more, tell me more about your nuances and your stories and your information. And that is going to even add to the layers of my learning. And so I'm so grateful for her.
How's that?
I love you, Ange. Ange is a really, really, really dear friend of mine. She has such a special place in my heart. And I know that she's gone through a lot in her life. And yet she's done her work to arrive at a place where, just like she said, she has learned how to raise her frequency to a place where she has peace in her life and she can magnetize the magic and be the magic for so many other people around her as well.
So beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Angela. And I want to speak to how interesting, I'm sure we've all cooked meals before, most of us, right? It's part of life. And how somebody can come in and teach you a new way to cook a meal that you've cooked a long time. And you're like, wow, thank you. Like I was doing it, but like you just cut my time in half. Like when my mom taught me to pre-cook all my meat, freeze it in the freezer, and now I can make meals in 15 minutes because all my meat's frozen. It's cooked, ready to go, right? Wow, thank you, Mom. That's kind of what I hear Angela saying here is like, maybe you've all learned ways to manifest, but it's so great when you relearn it through a different model. It teaches you like a different hack. And I feel like that's really what Matika's book does, is it teaches you how to collapse time with manifesting. I feel like, Matika, I'd love for you to share your story around how you tried to manifest your second child's birth versus the third, which is what helped you birth this book.
Yeah. The first thing I want to say is I want to hold women in my heart right now who might struggle with loss and miscarriage and infertility. I don't know what that's like, and I know that's very painful, and I hope that I can share my story and also hold place for you and just wrap you up in love. Because the way I learned to manifest was very unique and very specific, but I had basically tried to manifest 2 different birth experiences with 2 of the births of my children. One, like I crashed and burned. It didn't go anything like how I wanted. It was super discouraging. I was very frustrated with my body and frustrated that my body hadn't performed the way I had wanted it to. And then the second time I did it, I got everything on my list and more, including the date that that baby girl came into my life. So I feel like I was given these 2 experiences, very drastic. But what I learned is there's a higher approach to manifestation. So the first time when I tried to manifest and I crashed and burned, I did everything the experts told me to do. So I knew what I wanted. I was attached with a white knuckle grip around my birth plan that I wanted. And I just learned so many more layers upon this whole thing. When pregnant women are attached to their birth plans, usually their births do not go how they want because their muscles are contracted. They're not open to let this baby flow through their bodies. They're so attached. And it's literally like what we're doing externally shows up internally. And, we're just that magnetic match for that. So I had unshakable faith. I knew what I wanted and I was gonna have it. Like I was just like, I did everything. I did the vision boards, I did the affirmations, and I believed super hard. I knew that if I had doubts, then I wouldn't get it. And so the only thing I did was believe. And I just told everyone exactly how it was going to go. And I was attached to that. Well, that pregnancy didn't go anything like how I wanted. I was forced to be induced, 42 weeks gestation, way past my due date. And it was the last possible day my midwife would let me go before she was like, Matika, you've got to get an induction. And I just held off to the very last minute. I was just so discouraged and frustrated. I had no idea where I had gone wrong. And like in the end, the gift was I still had a baby, right? Like I'm so grateful for that. I can't deny that gift. So many women would do anything to have that gift. So that was a beautiful gift. But the conflict I had was I had done what the manifestation experts told me to do and it didn't work. So where did I go wrong?
And I
So
want to stop here because
Yeah.
this is a conversation that I think we get to take a minute out. How many people, and you don't have to raise your hands, but just in your hearts, tried to manifest and it failed? And that moment made you not believe anymore. Like, what is this? These are lies. I can't manifest. Like, I didn't get what I wanted. I did everything I wanted. And that's what I love about your book, Matika, is because you talk about this. You talk about the grief and the hopelessness that comes after a crash and burn with manifesting, which many people don't talk about.
It really is. I mean, it's a loss of what you thought your life was going to be, right? A loss of everything you identified yourself with. So no matter what it is, no matter what that manifestation is, when you lose what you think your life is going to be, there's that grieving and there's that devastation. And I just was confused. And so at that point, exactly like you said, I was like, nope, I'm not manifesting again. I'm not doing that one again. But my heart needed some nurturing. And so what I ended up doing was I started living the higher approach to manifestation of raising my vibrations first without even realizing it. So I started practicing yoga every day. I started doing meditation. I simply just cared for my heart and did whatever I could to find peace in my soul because I was confused. I was lost. I was especially confused with the amount of faith I had put in God with this whole thing. I thought we were in this together. I truly thought I was co-creating with him. And so it was kind of like this identity crisis and redefining faith, redefining prayer, all of this, right? But I just took it one baby step at a time. I started raising my vibrations without even realizing it. And before I knew it, magical things were happening. Like I became a yoga instructor on a scholarship. I led a yoga retreat in Costa Rica with my best friend, like things I never thought I would do. And it wasn't things I had actively really manifested either. I just was becoming a magnet for the magic. And so these things were happening. Well, a little down the road, I found out I was pregnant again. And immediately I was like, I'm not ready to go through that birth experience again. You know, I don't want to be pregnant way past my due date. But just like I had done leading up to that point, I was like, I'm going with the flow. I am just surrendering. I am raising my vibrations. I am continuing to practice yoga. I practiced yoga all throughout that pregnancy. And as the end of the pregnancy was coming, as it was coming to an end, I started to feel these nudges. Matika, you know what you want. You're still the same you. You know how you want the birth to go. And it was true. I mean, my desires were always the same. It was always a true desire. So the first time and this next time. So once again, I found myself with this birth plan written out exactly what I wanted. I was nudged and guided towards it. And the miracle was that everything happened and more on my list, including the day she was born. Well, I guess I should say the day I went into labor. I went into labor on 2/2/2/2/2. And the difference was that I still had the list of desires. I still knew what I wanted, but instead of being like this, I was open. My palms were open and I surrendered and I said, okay, God, this is my desire, but I let go. I completely surrender. And then I was able to become an open channel and an open flow for the miracle to flow through me.
So beautiful. Such a beautiful example and story. And I know that many of you have read Matika's book. I know her book has changed your life. I would love to open it up right now to have anybody just unmute because I can't see everyone. Oh yeah, Angela Havens, let's hear it. I'd love to have you share.
I always have to figure out how to unmute too. One of the things that I love, I've done some one-on-one coaching with Matika, and one of the things that I love is having someone else to be in resonance with, who can hold my vibration when my frequency is high, and also who has a high frequency, maybe in some areas where I'm a little like up and down, I can keep my vibration higher in those areas when I have someone like Matika to co-regulate off of. So is her wisdom awesome? Yes. Are her coaching tips great? Yes. Is her book awesome? Yes. And if I had to put at the top of the list, what's the best thing? It's having someone who actually knows how to live in that frequency on a regular basis, who can hold it. I mean, it's the same concept as when people used to go, or still do, like just sit at the feet of Buddha. And I'm not trying to say she's Buddha, but they just want to swim in that frequency and in that energy, because in that frequency and energy is where their system feels safe, is where they're not needy, is where they can take a breath and literally let things come to them and or create with the universe and with source. And so I am just huge fan and proponent of partnering with Matika kind of as a bridge or a pathway when you're really kind of navigating some of this stuff.
That's pretty amazing. So amazing. It's almost like Matika's a tuning fork, right? Like she's like the vibration tunes you into it. And I want to shout that out of Matika is an author, but she also is now a coach on this work that she wrote about, because she lives and breathes this. I know she's going to be doing a mastermind soon. So Matika, while the next person is sharing, if you can put your information in the chat, and we'll also put it down below in our YouTube notes. So anybody who's interested can reach out to Matika and work with Matika. You guys, you're very lucky to know her now. At one time, I was only $200 a month to coach with, and now I am way more. So you're lucky that you know her now when she's at this very early beginnings of her career, because Matika will 1,000,000% soar to heights that are far beyond where she is now. And I always say, meet with the author right after their book goes live, because you will never get them for the price that they are then that you will in 3 years. And she's definitely not $200 a month. I would not allow her that. That would not be allowed. That would not be allowed in my world, Matika. But I tell that story because this is like the rising star, and you want to work with her right now, because right here, right now, she's available for you guys, and she will be that vibrational frequency that helps you get to the next location on your path. So that's my shout out for Matika. I have so much love for her. We'll do one more comment. Anyone else? Yes.
Again. So I just wanted to share that Matika has changed the trajectory of my life so much just by being in her presence, her going to her classes and to her workshops. Give me 1 minute. Sorry, my little rainbow girl. Okay, hang on. Sorry. Okay, hang on.
We all got kids.
I'll come right back.
All right, sounds good. Isn't this so fun? Isn't this so fun, you guys? This is like my favorite thing to do. I just really want to I want to honor all of you. I admire you because it's 7 o'clock, almost 8 o'clock, most of your guys' time zones. And you guys could all be watching Gilmore Girls. That's my shout out. Me and my little girl watch Gilmore Girls. That's great. But you're not. You're here. You're here in this conversation, in this space, in this place. I just really honor all of you for being here. All right, Christina's back.
I'm hiding in another kid's room. It's fine.
I like it.
Although I still hide in rooms when I do meetings sometimes.
Fine.
My life is phenomenal. As a single mother who left emotional abuse 2 years ago, I did not believe in myself at all. And I went to her manifest workshop on the first day of the year 2 Januaries ago, right when my divorce was finalized. And it was an all day long Saturday, and it just changed everything. I manifested for the first time, and I was making 3 times as much money, still working the same amount of hours as a single mom massage therapist by the end of that year. And then I went the next year, and oh my goodness, I have had an entire year full of just complete miracles. And I am going to be writing my own book now too, which is something I never in a million years ever thought I would do. I'm going to write a book that's titled God is My Knight in Shining Armor. And I need to put on there that Matika is my super coach and trainer and guide. And oh my goodness, just being in her presence. She truly is she's so much better than a tuning fork, because she just helps you tune into truth, to tune into love, to tune into our true power just by being in her presence, let alone all of the amazing things that she teaches. So just had to testify of her greatness.
Look at that. Matika, how does this feel, Matika?
I love you, Christina. And it's been super amazing to watch the person that you've become as you have completely just owned your power and followed this uncharted path. And you've impacted so many people.
So beautiful. Thank you, Christina. And also, you got to write that book. I like that. I like that title. I like that title. So I want everyone to settle into their bodies, and we're going to let Matika finish this evening out with whatever deep, brilliant wisdom is bubbling up inside of the well that is Matika. Matika, I would love for you to just complete this summit with whatever you're present to.
Okay. Well, the first thing I want to have you guys do is close your eyes and just take a deep breath. And really ground into your bodies. And at this time, I wrap you all up in love. If you're watching the recording through time and space, I wrap you up in light. And I call in your spiritual team to surround you, to be at your sides. I place warriors at your side to help you fight your battles and help you fight off darkness. And right now, I just want to remind you of who you truly are right at your core. So place your hands on your solar plexus, right here, just below your heart, on your upper belly, right below your rib cage. And I want you to tap into this place and recognize how truly powerful you are. You are one with the divine. You are one with source. You have the power within you to fight off darkness and to call in light and to own that light. And I'm just tapping into my heart. But the last thing, as you continuously go within and connect with the divine right here at the center, you will open up to be a vessel for goodness to flow through you. As you cast out the feelings of pain and resentment and you embody the light, you'll become a magnet for more hope and beauty and love. And it all starts right here within. And you can continue sitting here, or you can open your eyes, but I just want to promise every single one of you that the beautiful life that you have always been waiting for is already there. It starts with you. And when those dark, icky, just battles are fighting so hard against you, come back to your place of power, cast out the darkness, and come back to a place of peace. And then ask, what do I do from here when you're in that place of peace? And then follow. I will act. One of the things Kira says all the time is, I act, God acts. We're first. I act, God acts. So.
So beautiful, Matika. Let's unmute and give her a huge applause. She's so amazing.
We love you, Matika.
Love you. Thank you for joining me, every single one of you. I'm so, so grateful for every single one of you.
So much fun. Thank you
Love
for
you.
all being here, for bringing your energy, for bringing your beautiful vibrations. And Matika, it is my deepest honor to know you. It has been my greatest joy to help you birth this book and to be your publisher. And this is just the beginning of the ripples that you are here to make in this world. So I just honor you. Beautiful work.
Love you.
Right.
Thank you, Kira.
Everyone have a beautiful evening. See ya.